It is a tale of two storms in the tropics today. One, a weak tropical storm bringing rain to the Gulf Coast. The other, a major hurricane that threatens the islands of the northeastern Caribbean. Good afternoon and welcome to Weather Center. I'm Mike Motley. For a complete update, let's turn to Jill Brown in the Forecast Center.
Okay, thanks, Mike. We are getting some rain and the potential for flooding along the Gulf Coast with Tropical Storm Hermine. We'll get to that in just a moment, but first off, we want to talk about the latest developments with Hurricane Georges. And to do that, joining me now is hurricane expert John Hope. John, we've gotten some new information, and it really is a much stronger hurricane at this point.
Well, it's up to 145 miles an hour, and that makes it a strong Category 4 hurricane. You know, the scale only goes up to Category 5. And the other important thing about this advisory is that a lot of the hurricane watches have been changed to hurricane warnings. And now we have hurricane warnings from Dominica northward to Anguilla. And then we have a hurricane watch that extends all the way down from Martinique down to St. Lucia. And the hurricane watch for the U.S., British Virgin Islands, and for Puerto Rico. So that's a big change. And we'll get that on the graphic for folks just as soon as we can.
Okay, let's take a quick look at the satellite picture, and I'll show you where Hurricane Georges is. Again, now a Category 4 hurricane, continuing to move closer to the islands. We'll keep you up to date on that. Closer to home, we have the lesser effects of Tropical Storm Hermine. Let's talk about that as we go in and show you the latest stats. Now winds 45 miles per hour. That has not changed through the day today. What we have seen change with this latest advisory is it now appears to be making more of a definitive movement, moving north at 7 miles per hour. Not so much northeast, but more directly to the north. And because of that, the tropical storm warnings have been extended a little bit farther west to Intercoastal City in Louisiana, where you see the red on the map make that tropical storm warnings are in effect. The biggest threat, though, is not going to be the winds with this. It will be the rain, and they already know about that in New Orleans. New Orleans is already feeling the effects of Tropical Storm Hermine with moderate to heavy rain that moved into the city around 11 o'clock this morning. You definitely needed those umbrellas and raincoats as you made your way around the French Quarter. Expect more rain to be moving in through this afternoon and through the nighttime hours. Now, of course, it's just been over a week since Tropical Storm Francis came in, and that really devastated New Orleans. John, we don't think that that'll be the effect, though, with Hermine.
No, we don't, Jill. We think the center is going to make landfall sometime tonight, actually, and I can't see any indication that it's getting any stronger. So what we need to be concerned about with this storm, Hermine, is rain. Could be pretty heavy rain.
Let's take a look at the satellite picture, and you'll be able to see where the center of circulation is. And the sun's just beginning to set on this, but right about in here is the circulation. And this has always been a relatively disorganized system with the stronger winds east of the center of circulation. That's where the thicker clouds are. And John, that's where the heaviest rain will be as well?
Yes, it will. The heaviest rain will be along and near where the center comes ashore. I think on the radar we can see it down here, the center right at the very bottom there. And as it tracks up in this general direction here, the heaviest rain will be along the path and to the right, which in this case is to the east. Okay,
so New Orleans not likely to get another 15 inches of rain.
I don't think they will, because I think that this will move right along and not stall out like Francis did. So even though the rain will be heavy for a while, it won't linger as long.
Okay, so heavy rain event from Tropical Storm Hermine. A different story when we start talking about Hurricane Georges. So let's go back to that. And again, this is not the latest information on this. 125 mile per hour winds was the last advisory, and now they're 145 mile per hour winds. What about the pressure, John? Did we see a drop in pressure as well?
Well, we've had just one, only had 2 recon fixes, and the second one dropped down to 944, so we haven't had another one since. We won't get another new pressure until the reconnaissance aircraft gets back in the eye of the hurricane.
Now, do you think that there's anything in the path that would possibly affect this in a favorable way, weaken it at all?
No, we don't. We don't see any kind of wind shear or anything out there, so we think the path is going to be basically just a little bit north of due west, and that's going to bring it very close to the islands by late tomorrow. And we want to reiterate now that we have a hurricane warning all the way from Anguilla down to Dominica. A hurricane watch has been extended westward to the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, and a watch from Martinique southward to St. Lucia is still in effect.
All right, let's take a look at that track again and talk about, again, it'll be late afternoon, we think, before we start seeing the effect or possibly landfall in the northern end of the islands. What about thereafter? Is there anything critical that we can look for as we're watching this to say if it will or not affect us in the U.S.?
Well, that's what we're looking for. And along this path here, and it looks like the most likely path is to come south of the larger island, a little bit south of the larger islands, and perhaps not very far. And that would probably set up a definite threat to the U.S. later next week sometime.
Okay, definitely one to watch. Major hurricane. Thanks very much, John Hope. We'll keep you up to date on Hurricane George and Tropical Storm Hermine. And if you'd like to know what else is going on across the country, of course, you need to stick by. So we go back to the studio for